With a departure from WWE announced and more, this is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we move on, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Rambles with notifications on, and don't forget to like the video. As CM Punk's dog Larry is set to become an action figure, his paw print would be scanned for a figure card.
There you go. Oh my goodness.
Recalling his feud against Edge in WWE, AJ Styles said this to Inside the Ropes. It was a dream feud, but in the wrong context of which it should have been done. Edge should have never been a heel. He wasn't a guy that you looked at as a bad guy, so that would be the only thing that I would change. Other than that, we had fun, but it was just a different dynamic. The band Downstait, who made the pro wrestling entrance themes for Cody Rhodes and The Miz, teased another song being made for a wrestler, as vocalist Zach Call told Reffin' It Up. So I can't speak exactly on what's going on with him right now. I think that's his story to tell. I don't want to be that person. He's doing good. He will definitely be back at some stage. We don't have an exact timeline, but yeah, I can't wait to get back in the room with him. Guitarist Justin Call added that it's not our song to spoil. What comes down to it, when we give them the music, it's for them to do something with it. They run with it. During NXT this week, TNA Wrestling's Joe Hendry would make his WWE debut as school children in a wrestling club react to this. Recalling the first Hell in a Cell match he had with Shawn Michaels in WWE, The Undertaker said this on Maven's YouTube channel. What Shawn did in that comeback spot is the intensity. He had a window, right? This is a big dude. I've got to pour on the gas. I think a lot of people in today's wrestling industry would have glad-handed. They would have went to the crowd. It doesn't make sense. You wouldn't do that in a fight. You wouldn't do that in that kind of a situation, and that's one of my biggest pet peeves is, as athletically gifted as the talent pool is, they glad hand too much with the audience. For an update on his tag team partner Mark Davis, AEW star Kyle Fletcher told Fightful on WGN Radio, so I can't speak exactly on what's going on with him right now. I think that's his story to tell. I don't want to be that person. He's doing well. He will definitely be back at some stage. We don't have an exact timeline, but yeah, I can't wait to get back in the room with him. It appears that a TNA talent was backstage at an AEW show, with Ringside News writing. Fightful Select reports that Speedball Mike Bailey, known for his exceptional in-ring skills, was backstage at the AEW Collision and AEW Rampage taping at the PPL Center in Allentown, Pennsylvania this past Thursday night, June 20th. According to Sean Ross Sapp, Bailey was present to visit friends and was warmly received backstage due to his extensive connections within the wrestling industry. country. There have been no indications of any formal discussions beyond his visit, and Bayley remains under contract with TNA until the end of the year. It's noted that various companies have shown interest in working with Bayley, including a near deal with WWE a couple of years ago that was ultimately affected by changes in their hiring guidelines. Speaking about what is next for him and his brother Jeff after leaving AEW, Matt Hardy told Busted Open Radio, "I would like to do TNA and have a hell of a run there. And then I almost feel like now just the destiny has revealed itself in many ways. I almost feel Jeff and we end up returning to WWE, do something small, and then go onto the Hall of Fame. That's a best case scenario." Matt Hardy said this in response to a question on what it would take for WWE to trust Jeff again. As Matt said, that's a great question. I think Jeff really wanted to come back to TNA to continue to build equity, and he knows that TNA and WWE are working together. I have friends in the WWE. I have spoken with people in WWE. So I think Jeff just wants to once again just show people how he is a different human being. The way to put equity into that is to go to TNA, have a kick-ass run, and show people he's on his best behavior. Explaining the contract situation with him and Jeff Hardy in AEW, Matt Hardy said this on his Extreme Life podcast. Jeff was still with AEW. I was saying, let me match up with his deal. When his deal ends, I'll work through that. If something works where I can go back to AEW and we can team together, that's cool and we could do that. I was talking with those guys. We came to 2 or 3 different offers and nothing was quite what I wanted. I was doing all the negotiating for myself and Jeff. I was trying to set myself up for something new when Jeff's contract ended. I ended up doing against all odds. Let me do a program with Moose. We'll have a killer blow-off match and I'll put Moose over. I said I'll come in, we'll build up an angle, it'll get me hot, I'll rebuild equity back with myself because myself and Jeff had been devalued for so long like the last year. Let me build some value for myself and I can put Moose over. It'll be a win-win. That was the plan. As time started going on, Jeff started telling me, no one has reached out to me. Are you going to reach out to them? The only time they offered Jeff a deal is when they offered me a deal. Jeff didn't care. Unless they offered him something that he liked, he was good. He wasn't going to reach out. As Jeff was saying, no one has reached out, my deal might be up. I said, I'm enjoying my time in TNA. Jeff isn't looking to re-sign. No one has reached out. Jeff doesn't feel like he's necessarily wanted there. Jeff is an interesting cat. He thinks differently. If someone is not trying to reach out to him, hey, we really want to do this. If you're sitting back or not trying to contact, he goes, well, they must not want me. I'll move on. I told TNA I would love to extend this. They said if Jeff's deal is coming up, would he be interested in doing this? I told Jeff, TNA said whenever your AEW deal is done, they'd be interested in doing something if you'd like to. Jeff got back to me, yeah, when my AEW deal runs out, if they don't offer me anything, I'd be up for that. In a clip on X, Raw General Manager Adam Pearce gave an update on Chad Gable, who was attacked by the Wyatt Six on Monday.
All right, WWE Universe Raw General Manager Adam Pearce with an update finally after a tumultuous week. As I'm sure most of you are aware, several of our social accounts were hacked, and now that they're firmly back under our control, we can get back to business. To that end, Chad Gable, everyone saw the heinous attack last week. Despite that attack, and despite being severely shaken up, Chad Gable is medically cleared and will compete this Monday in a triple threat qualifying match for the Money in the Bank ladder match against Braun Strowman and Big Bronson Reed. Again, the breaking news, in a huge display of guts, Chad Gable will compete with the winner going on to Toronto and the Money in the Bank ladder match. It happens this Monday live in Indianapolis on Monday Night Raw. 8/7 Central only on USA. Thank you for bearing with us. Thank you for allowing me to deliver this message. And thank you for the privilege of your time.
Talk about the return of Jack Perry to AEW and how this run has been going for the star. Conan said this on Keeping It 100. And I thought at the end with Jack Perry, all this hoopla about him coming back and he's the traitor or victim or whatever name he gave himself, the scapegoat or whatever, they made him this big deal with the Young Bucks, and then he just comes out and does that with Dante Martin, who's not a big deal. I mean, they've done a terrible job of bringing Jack Perry back, and bro, all he had to do was come back with his chick, Anna Jay. I got the hottest girl in the promotion, right? I'm the son of a superstar. I'm self-paid. I don't even need to wrestle. I'm a good-looking guy. I can get any. He's riding a Lamborghini just in LA, right? Recently, there have been rumors that Shane McMahon has talked to those in AEW about possibly joining the promotion. Conrad Thompson said this regarding the situation to Jim Ross on the Grilling JR podcast. There was a friend of ours, I shouldn't say their name, but he went out of his way to text me and say, hey, that's not as crazy as you think. I know for sure that Shane McMahon has reached out to wrestlers on the AEW roster to at least hypothetically discuss the idea. Dave Meltzer added on F4WOnline.com, I can only say on the AEW side, people who in theory should have an inkling about it have said they've either heard nothing or said they heard what Thompson said, but heard nothing independently about it. Tony Khan's comment was, I've never met him or talked to him in my life. One person noted to us that there was a conversation between McMahon and an ex-WWE talent in AEW, and it was described as not a pitch to get in or anything, just two people chatting, when McMahon said something to the effect of, can you imagine if I walked out there on Dynamite? Not as if he was pitching anything. Explaining the reason for his rant against CM Punk, where he called Punk insensitive, rapper Violent J from the Insane Clown Posse said this on ad-free shows. Colt Cabana is not an associate, he's a friend. I don't have very many people that I actually consider real friends, someone you basically talk to every day. Me and Colt are cool like that. What happened was, I was at the airport. I was flipping through Instagram and I came across the footage from a couple of years ago when CM Punk was going off on Colt Cabana about sharing a bank account with his mom. I don't like CM Punk. He's always been a dick to us. I just unloaded. I've been meaning to say this. When I saw the post come up, I was like, let me school this MFer. I had been meaning to say it. Here's where it comes from. Back in Ian Rotten's IWA, we were doing something there back in the day. Apparently, we didn't shake everyone's hand in the dressing room like was required for that time. You come in and shake everyone's hand. We didn't know this. We just didn't know at the time that was a customary thing for respect. We just didn't know. Apparently, according to Colt, CM Punk didn't like us after that. When we got to TNA, we went to shake his hand and he wouldn't shake our hand. I was like, that's the first time that someone refused to shake our hand in wrestling over something like that. When Colt fell out with him, I caught that statement about who would share a bank account with their mom. Not everyone's mom is like CM Punk's mom, where that would be a problem. I shared a bank account with my mom before she passed. I don't understand him. I don't understand his anger, his bitterness, and I don't understand his attacks on Colt and his blatant disregard for us. F him. F this dude. I unloaded because I have an outlet and something is on my mind. I unload. The funny thing is, he doesn't live in my head like that. It's not like a grudge where I'm after him. I just saw it and was like, F this guy. That's it. There is no anger to it. I don't like him. I think he suffers inside. Just watching and observing as a fan, I think he has problems and there is a lot more going on in his head than I'll ever understand. I respect his wrestling and everything he's done and his ability. I'm a CM Punk fan for his work, but him as a man, it's hard to relate for me. When you diss a personal friend on top of blatant disrespect of me and Shaggy, I say F him. I wish I would bump into him. If you ask him what he thinks of ICP, he'd tell you the same thing about us. I just said it first. It's not a deep-seated hatred. I don't know you. You're dissing my boy. You dissed us. F you. That's all it amounts to. Responding to fans on Instagram, MVP answered some questions regarding the faction he was a part of with Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, and Cedric Alexander, the Hurt Business. Here are the comments and replies. Dave Bautista said, "They left a lot of money on the table with that one. Color me confused." MVP wrote, "And we were never given an explanation for why." Absolute Perfect Sean wrote, "As much as I would love to see the Hurt Business back on TV, the only way I'd want it back is if Shelton Benjamin is back in the fold. Ain't the Hurt Business without him. Once he's back, let's run it back." MVP said, "That's the only way. The current regime doesn't want it either." Remy J. Knott wrote, "Can we get the Hurt Business back?" MVP said, "Triple H said no." Smith Jacob wrote, "Vince completely screwed this one up. I'm shocked Triple H hasn't been in favor of bringing it back." MVP replied, "I'm not." Alpha Poppy 2 said, "Should have kept y'all together. Damn you, Vince." MVP replied, "Triple H had the power to fix it. He chose not to. Go figure." Johnny Classic wrote, "They took your gimmick and crew and gave it to the Bloodline. That's what happened. You guys were so cool. The suits, the attitude, and gold, a complete unit." MVP said, "True story." Swaggersaurus Rex wrote, "Somebody like you doesn't get to be a world champion. It's your job to make people like me laugh. Triple H. He meant that." Shaking my head. MVP replied with a 100 emoji. And KNG Marie said, "The Triple H era is emasculating black men. I'm really hating it." MVP replied, "You see it." Announcing her departure from WWE backstage correspondent for the promotion, Kayla Braxton wrote this on Instagram. "After nearly 8 years holding the microphone on WWE television, I am setting it down to pursue my next chapter. Next week at the world's most famous arena, I will be officially signing off. During my years with WWE, I was able to master the art of the backstage interview. I hope I was able to turn minutes into moments for you who watched week to week and maybe even ushered in a new fan base. My banter with Paul Heyman became the stuff of legend, and I am so thankful for all he has done to elevate my career. I gained a wealth of knowledge from the wise man, and for that I'll be eternally grateful. In 2016, the legendary Michael Cole brought me in to begin my WWE career as a ring announcer with NXT. But I quickly found myself touring the globe, hosting Hall of Fame ceremonies, kickoff shows, and helping launch WWE's first weekly morning show, The Bump. I exited The Bump after more than 200 shows and a move to Los Angeles. Now, on the West Coast, I have been offered new opportunities that will further utilize the skills I gained working for the largest sports entertainment company in the world. I am extremely thankful to Triple H, Nick Khan, WWE, and all of its partners for allowing me to be a trusted voice on WWE television for all these years. Thank you to every single person who made me feel like this was my home and that I was a part of this family. Thank you for taking a chance on me and welcoming this outsider with open arms. I hope I made you proud, and I'd love it if you'd stay with me for this next chapter. I'm excited to reveal to all of you what I have coming up next." And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.